Maybe right now, you feel like your entire life is falling apart. The relationship is over. The job is gone. The diagnosis changes everything. The child you longed for hasn't come. Or the dream you worked toward for years suddenly shatters. Maybe you're experiencing one or more of these showing up in your life right now. And if you're standing there right now, I want to ask you not to switch this video off too soon. Because maybe what's breaking apart right now isn't your life. Maybe it's only your plan that's breaking apart. And that's a difference that can change everything. Because right now, in this exact moment, you have a chance you probably didn't choose. But it's real all the same. The chance to come out of this situation stronger, not despite everything. But strange as it sounds, through what's happening right now, if you can hold that as possible, even for one small moment, then stay with me. Because that's exactly what the next few minutes are about. The mind state builds plans. Our mind state is incredibly important. It plans, it organizes, it protects us. Without it, we couldn't get through a single day. But sometimes it builds houses we would never have been happy in. Why? Because many of these blueprints aren't even our own. They're made of sentences we picked up somewhere along the way, without ever questioning them. By 30, you should... A good relationship looks like. Success means. You have to. And at some point, quietly, without us noticing, we start believing this plan is our truth. We mistake the scaffolding for the house. When the scaffolding collapses, sometimes this scaffolding collapses. A breakup, a job lost, an illness, a longing for a child that goes unanswered, a bankruptcy, a move nobody planned, a burnout that had been building for years. I wouldn't wish any of this on anyone. But in my practice, I've seen it again and again. That exactly there, something begins that had no room to exist before, not because the collapse itself is beautiful, but because for the first time in a long time, it creates space. Space where something new can breathe. Not everything has a meaning, but much of it carries a message. When something painful or seemingly negative happens, it often seems to make no sense at all, and even more than that, sometimes it feels like everything has turned against you. But I believe something different. Not everything makes sense. But almost every experience eventually asks us a question we couldn't hear before because we were too busy defending our plan. Who would you be without this plan? Let's pause here for a moment. If everything you've been holding on to was gone tomorrow, who would you be then? What would remain if the title were gone? If the relationship were gone? If the role everyone knows you by were gone? What would you do if no one had any expectations of you at all? This question isn't comfortable, but it's honest. And sometimes it's the first step back to yourself. If an answer to this question just crossed your mind, feel free to write it in the comments, not because I need it, but because putting it into words can help you too. Stillness and looking inward. I believe what comes next is something almost no one wants to hear today. Don't act right away. Don't optimize right away. Don't write a new plan right away. We live in a time that tells us every crisis needs an immediate solution, but maybe your life doesn't need the next plan right now. Maybe it needs stillness first, a moment where you don't have to fix anything, a moment where you're simply allowed to be with what is. And out of this stillness, something else is allowed to emerge, an honest look inward, an inner taking of stock. Not what went wrong, but what actually led me here? Which decisions, which habits, which voices inside me shaped this path? Was it perhaps the voice that always said, push through even if it's not good for you? Was it the fear of disappointing someone that kept you in a situation that no longer fit who you were? Was it the belief that rest has to be earned first before you're allowed to have it? This inward look isn't a way of blaming yourself. It's an honest, loving taking of stock. Because only once you see which paths led you here can you recognize which ones you want to keep walking and which ones you don't. The first small movements. Life is movement. And sometimes it feels like you're stuck, like nothing is moving anymore, neither inside you nor around you. You rarely get out of that feeling of being stuck through one single big decision. You get out of it through small steps. Steps that often seem too small to matter to the mind state. So small it barely thinks they're worth mentioning. But it's exactly these small steps that help your true self come back to rest. Come back into flow again. Not huge transformations, no overnight reinvention, but small movements. A walk. A book you've wanted to read for a long time. A few lines you write just for yourself. A call to someone you've been missing. Learning something new simply because it interests you. A room you finally tidy up. The movement matters more than its size. No step is too small to count. What can you do today entirely from within yourself? This is the question I like to ask most. I don't mean waiting for help from outside, not waiting for someone to give you money, not waiting for someone to tell you what to do. What you need, you already have. Yourself. And yes, that can include your own money too if you choose to use it. But the real resource is you. You can go for a walk today. You can write in a journal. You can meditate. You can write a letter you never send. You can redesign a room. You can turn your phone off for 2 hours. You can give someone an honest hug. You can sit in the sun for 10 minutes and do nothing. All of it without depending on anyone else. All of it possible today. Every person is allowed to reinvent themselves. Out of an honest look inward and out of a beginning inner peace, it becomes much easier to let something new emerge in your life. Space opens up. Space for creative thinking. Space for healing. Space for ideas that had no room before because there was too much noise inside you. And from this space, you're allowed to ask yourself, maybe the most beautiful thing about life is that none of us has to be only one version of ourselves. We're allowed to begin again at 30, at 50, at 70, at 85. There is no date on which this permission expires. My father's story. My father once said, when he was already very old, "It's only over when the lid is on." As a young woman, I couldn't help but smile at that sentence. Today, I understand it differently. He didn't mean, work yourself into the ground. He meant, as long as you're alive, you're allowed to dream. You're allowed to learn. You're allowed to love. You're allowed to start again. Maybe even build a house at 70. Not because you have to, but because life is movement. If things like this move you, questions about life itself, about new beginnings, about what truly carries us, then feel free to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Because there will be more of exactly this here. Maybe the greatest freedom in our lives isn't that everything goes according to plan. Maybe it's that we always have the permission to design a new one. So if your life is falling apart right now, let it. Not forever. Just for this moment. Maybe not everything is lost. Maybe something is beginning that you can't see yet today.